So before you start developing a website, the first thing you want to do is build a wireframe or a sitemap, and it really just is something that will help you understand what you're going to be developing, how many pages you're going to be developing, and if you're doing this for a client, it will give them a good understanding of how many pages need to be developed, and you can kind of keep driving into it. And these are quick sketches or um, designs done in tons of different applications. It could be done in Photoshop. It can be done in Illustrator, Design XD. There's lots of different prototyping software that you can use to design this type of stuff. So for this time, I just did a sketch, and I did a sketch of a wireframe for the first page, and then I also mocked up a wireframe using Google Sketch. So if you don't have Photoshop, you can use Google Sketch. You can go to New, under Google, go More, and right here it's called Google Draw, right there. And you can build your sitemap, or your, in this case I built this wireframe in here, and then when I was done I simply went to download as JPEG to download it. So you have all the same tools you would have in Photoshop or other drawing applications, where you can draw the lines and the blocks, and really we're just trying to block out the page layout, make sure we get buy-in from the client, make sure that we've captured all the information. At this stage it's very easy to move things around, and you're not committed too much time to it. So once you have that, once you've gone in and you've saved your JPEG, you want to start developing the image map that allows us to kind of jump from one area to the other area. Now with my sketches, I'm going to open this up in Photoshop and just crop it in, and actually adjust the size because it came in pretty big. So if you did do a sketch like these two, you might need to crop in a little bit and adjust the image size. So in this case I'm just going to do an image crop, get rid of the extra white on some of this, and then I will commit it. Bring it in a little bit more there. Alright, I just hit return or the checkbox to commit it, and then I'm going to go to my image menu, and I'm going to go to my image size, and I'm going to see what size it is. And this width actually isn't too bad for a website, so I probably will keep it as is, but if I wanted to adjust it, I could come in here and I could just change this value to any value that I want to. I want to make sure that this is linked, so this way it's proportioned when we scale it, and then you can hit OK. But for the most part I think this is good to go, so I'm just gonna save that. Oop. Save it as a JPEG. I'll keep the compression at 12, that's fine. And I can do the same thing here. I'll just crop in on it a little bit, and then I'll do save. And I'll save this as a JPEG. Oh. Alright, so if for when I link this up, if I want to get coordinates, I could actually get coordinates in here for doing linking, so we can kind of create a prototype using basic HTML and going into Windows and getting pixel coordinates, so we can do image maps on these to link them. So this is one way you can do it, and then I'll also show you another way we can approach this if you don't have Photoshop. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create my HTML page, and in this case I have an images folder, and then I put the JPEGs inside of that images folder. And then I'm going to now just open up Brackets. It's a free software you can download, and I'm going to create a new HTML file. I'm going to then go to Save, and you want to save it as HTML right away, so this way it is saved. So go to Desktop, and I'll call this sitemap.html. So I'm going to create a basic HTML file. I'm just doing the initial tags, the HTML, the head on top, and if you haven't used brackets before, it closes your tags. You can turn it off if you want to. So right now you could put a title in here, and you could call this sitemap for Eco. That's the fictitious company, and really in the body all we're looking for is image tag and then a link to the image. So in this case the images are in the images folder, and then the nice thing about brackets is it gives us a list of everything that's in there. So for now we'll use the sitemap that I have that I sketched out, and then I'm going to self-close that. And if I save this, I should be able to preview it, and I should have the sitemap right there on the web page. So now the goal is I want to create a hotspot for each of these boxes that will take me to a different page that will display the images. And what this will allow us to do is kind of jump from one to another to another, so we kind of simulate how the website might look like. So next up, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's known as an image map. Now, if you can't follow along with this, or if you want help with code, you can always go to W3 Schools, and you can actually do a lookup for image maps, and it'll actually tell you how to do it, and you can try it out. So this is a great site, great reference to do this. But in this case, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a map, and we're going to give the map a name, and this will be sitemap. It's a unique name that we'll give it, and then we have to say what the area is that's going to be hot, and what the shape of that hotspot is going to be like. And in our case, we'll use a rectangle because that's our shapes. But you see that there were a bunch of different options here, and circle, default, poly, and rect. So you have a few options that you can choose from. After the shape, we're going to put the coordinates in, and because we're doing a rect, we need a x1, a y1, and an x2 and a y2, which is the top left and the bottom right of our images. So I'll just do this so you guys get an idea. And then we have where we want it to link to. Now we haven't created the home page yet, but I know this is going to go into our home page. So I'll just call this home.html, and then we can create an alt tag if you want. Link to home, and then this will be a self-closing tag. So we can do this for all of our boxes. So you can see that we have a home up here, so that would be 1, then the men would be 2, women 3, boys 4, 5, and then 6. So we'll need 6 total. So this will be 1. We can just copy and paste it. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the only thing we have to do, I'm just going to spread this out so you can see it a little bit better, is we need to change the coordinates and then change the links. So if we were to look at this, the next one we could do is men. So I'll just call this men.html. And so we'll have to create that page. Woman, woman, boy, boy, girl, girl. Oh. And then customize. Let's do custom. All right, so we have this. Now all we have to do is change the coordinates and find the coordinates. So again, you can do this in Photoshop by opening up the image and going to Window, Info, and then you can get the coordinates this way. So in this case, if I was looking for the coordinate up here, right now it's set to pixels up here, and I need to switch this to, or inches, and I need to switch it to pixels. So I'm just going to click on this little pull down, go to pixels, and then I'm going to get that information right there. So it's 91263. So 91263. And then the other number is 1248 315. 1248 315. 1248 315. So that will create my hotspot. So if I go back to my web browser and I come in here and I hit refresh, it will create a hotspot from here to here. Now the one thing we have to do is we have to tell this image to use that map. So we'll have to do use map equals, and then we have to give it the ID or the name of the map that we want to use. So it's sitemap, that's what we want them to use. And then what you can see is that now we have this this link that we could click on, and it'll take us to that URL, so home.html. So we'll go in and we can just keep updating these coordinates and linking to that. I did create a little HTML file called get coordinates, and what this will do is in here you can just replace this with the image that you want to test with. So in here you could just put in this case it would be images sitemap, sketch sitemap JPEG, and when you save it, when you launch it in a browser, you will see the image appear, and what you can do is you can just click on the corner you want and it will pop up the coordinates for you. So in this case it's 180, what was it, 183. Oh, I just closed it. All right, 182,557, 182,557. So 182,557 and 364,715. 364,715. There we go. And then what that should do is give us a hotspot for this area here. So I'll put a link to that, to this HTML file. So if you don't have Photoshop and you're just trying to get coordinates, you can just download this, put it in that same folder, and then you can just put your image tag right in here, and you should be good to go. So once you're done linking all this up, if you want to, you can actually save this as the next page, so you have a starting point. So for instance, I want to link up the wireframe, and in this case I'll just use the wireframe that I sketched up in Google Draw. And so what I'll do is I could just take the existing sitemap.html, go to File, Save As, save this as home.html because that's what we want to launch. And then once I have home.html, I can just change this to wireframe.jpg. And then I can come in here and I can adjust all my coordinates again to make the hotspots for the new image. So for instance, here I'd want a hotspot on men, women, boys, girls, and customize, and then I'd want to go to that wireframe. So in this case I could come in and I would do file save as boys, file save as girls, change the image, and then change the coordinates. So I'll do one more for here. So in this case I want to do the men hotspot right here. So I will go to the little get coordinates, and I'll go in here and I'll update this. So the image is now going to be wireframe.jpg. And then I will just get the coordinates for that. So I'll click here, 68, 133. So now I'll come in here and I'll update 68, 133, and then down here 206, 188, 206, 188, and this is going to link to men. It's going to link to men.html. Alright, and then you can see that once I do that, I have the hotspot here, and it'll take me to men.html. So to create the prototype, I would do the same thing for men, women, boys, girls, and customize. So this way, a potential client could click on men and see what that layout looks like. And again, the great thing is you can start with the sitemap. So in this case, we have our sitemap, and then they can say, oh, let's see how the home page looks like. We can click here, and it'll take them to the home page. They can also click on, oh, let's see how the men's HTML looks like, and they could click on this, and if we had that built, that page would load and we could get that information as well. So I hope this helps kind of clear up how you could do a quick prototype using Photoshop or using any other application to draw out your sketches, and then how you can get the coordinates and how you can use image maps to quickly create a quick prototype using the sketches or the wireframes that you created. All right, thanks, bye.